need a sub-goal in the global goal on adaptation that strongly advocates for youth inclusion and youth participation in every decision, as well as in producing the maps.
We're calling on countries to urgently step up to deliver on doubling adaptation finance.
Being there in the decision-making room is one of the challenges. Another issue is the issue of capacity. Coupling those finances with the skills. Many young people have the capacity to innovate, but then the legal capacity, the business management capacity sometimes is not there.
Finance obviously follows thereafter education, but entrepreneurship and decent jobs to begin with is key for our youth to drive adaptation, for them to see an incentive.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Happy Earth Day, and welcome to the Youth Adaptation Forum on Climate Resilient Agriculture. Thank you so much for joining us from all over the world. My name is Lauren, and I'm the Program Officer for the Youth Leadership and Education Program at the Global Center on Adaptation, and I'm honored to host the forum today. I would also like to introduce you to our co-hosts, who are both members of the GCA CEO Youth Advisory Panel. Ivy, please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Lauren. My name is Ivy, and it's all pleasure to meet you. My name is Ivy Wamboy Mishoki. I am a climate advocate in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm 29 years old with a background in social sciences. I run a company called African Natural Products, which is a focus on mechanized agricultural systems. I'm currently pursuing a master's degree in climate change and adaptation at the University of Nairobi. And very briefly, I will tell you my story where it began in agriculture and accompanying my mom in a science institute when I was younger, where I developed a deep appreciation for the field and its business aspects. So I'm looking forward to your contributions today. It's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ivy. And next we have Ahmed Fatih from Egypt. Ahmed, please introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you, Lauren, and happy Earth Day. My name is Ahmed Fathi, and I'm leading YLE Foundation. And it's my pleasure to be as youth advisor for the director of Global Center for Adaptation. In COP26 and COP27, I were in the same place that you are now behind the screen. But now I'm in the front of the screen. I advise all of you to follow your dream, and one day you will reach it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. So today we're welcoming participants from 110 countries all over the world, and we have speakers from Indonesia, Cameroon, Zimbabwe, Egypt, Kenya, Nigeria, and Rwanda. So I would like you to all introduce yourself in the chat box. Tell us where you're from and tell us how you've engaged with agriculture and climate adaptation. We would love to hear from you, and we would love to read all the comments in the chat box. The Youth Adaptation Forums provide a platform to showcase best practices and amplify the voices of young people, and that includes everyone who's participating at home. So the discussion and your comments from these forums will be represented in a fact sheet, which we published online. And if you're not yet a member of the Youth Adaptation Network, then please feel free to join us. We'll post information in the chat, and we'll have information at the end on how you can join as well. You can also share with your network that you're a delegate of this forum by using the template which you can find in the chat. And don't forget that whenever you mention your participation in the forum, to use the hashtag Youth for Adaptation when posting. So as we said, today is Earth Day. And when we think of Earth Day, we're reminded of the farmers who rely on the earth for their livelihoods, and we're reminded of agriculture. But we're living in a world where 1/3 of rural adults are experiencing moderate to severe food insecurity. And food scarcity is only increasing across the world due to floods, droughts, heat waves, which is damaging the livelihood of farmers. But young people are often driving the adaptation solutions worldwide. And in this forum, we'll speak to young people who are engaged with agricultural adaptation solutions. So Ivy, I would like to welcome you to share the results from the survey.
Thank you so much, Lauren. We had a survey, and together with FAO, the Global Center on Adaptation, and a survey for young people was made about agriculture and climate change. So 91% of young people surveyed were very concerned about the impacts of climate change on agriculture. About 57% were very confident in the support of youth-led initiatives in agriculture. About 100% of the young people surveyed were either actively involved in youth-led initiatives related to climate resilience, agriculture, or interested in joining such initiatives.
Thank you so much, Ivy. So these results show just how important young people are in driving adaptation solutions, especially in agriculture. So with that being said, I would love to welcome our speakers, our specialists, and our young leaders that we have today. So first we have Oloyede Ajayi, who is the Global Program Lead of Food Security and Rural Wellbeing at the Global Center on Adaptation. We have Jean-Claude Niyomugabo from Rwanda, who is the co-founder of Adurite. Then we have Gova Rizda Rifta from Indonesia, who is the project leader of Green Harmony. We have Ifeoluwa Olatayo from Nigeria, and she is a Youth Adapt winner and the founder of Super Farm and Market Limited. And we have Ghislaine Matiere Nekamai from Cameroon, who is a Youth Adapt winner and founder of Mamita Holdings Limited. And finally, we have Primrose Sito from Zimbabwe, who is a participant at the Sunshine Apiary in Chimanimani. So a very warm welcome to you all. Now, I would like to welcome Professor Dr. Patrick Verkuyen, who is the CEO at the Global Center on Adaptation, to kindly deliver his opening remarks to the forum today. And this will be done by video intervention. Thank you very much.
Good day. Greetings from the largest floating office in the world. I hope you're having a happy and productive Earth Day. Because all of you know, Africa is an agriculture powerhouse. Half of all rural Africans rely upon it to live. Agriculture accounts for a quarter of Africa's GDP. But did you know that more than 2/3 of agriculture in sub-Saharan Africa relies upon natural rainfall? And climate change is playing havoc with the lives of smallholder farmers, the backbone of African agriculture productions. Drought, colleagues, droughts are nothing new. They have always existed. But we must be very concerned when they become the norm and not the exception. And it's not just water scarcity, that's the problem. Climate change is bringing intense floods at the same time. They also wreak untold damage on crops. So the case for adaptation is very compelling. Agriculture desperately needs solutions at scale and speed. Well, the good thing is this: we have the solutions. But the problem is that they're not reaching the smallholder farmers when we need them the most. Again, the problem is threefold: speed of delivery, scale, and affordability. That's where the largest adaptation program in the world comes in, the Africa Adaptation Acceleration Program, or AAAP. The Global Center on Adaptation, in partnership with the African Development Bank, we have launched a large food security program which is supporting the design and mainstreaming of climate-smart digital solutions. In the past 2 years alone, GCA has mainstreamed digital climate solutions into 12 massive agriculture investments from different international finance institutions worth over $2.6 billion US. And we recently also kickstarted the scaling up of climate resilient seeds that will help farmers not only to survive, but to thrive. This is a challenging but exciting new world where there are no limits to what we can achieve with the right tools and the right bold ambition to succeed. And in this race against time to climate-proof our changing world, quite frankly, I look to you to drive the adaptation agenda. Because after all, we're in the midst of a climate emergency. But all is not lost. With your energy, your passion, your ingenuity, I'm confident that we will drive forward climate adaptation. So in short, let's get on to it. I hope you enjoyed the forum, and I'm very much looking forward to reading your conclusions. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much for Professor Rakuyan for your opening message. And as he said, it is essential that we have adaptation solutions, and the argument for adaptation is compelling. And as we know, young people are really at the forefront of driving adaptation solutions, which is what we hope to show in this forum today. So now we want to hear from all of you. Ivy will introduce you to the Mentimeter, which is our first audience participation of this session.
It's great to see everybody's active on the group. I can see all your chats. Continue chatting, continue at least telling us how you feel about this session and what you would want us to communicate during this Day of Earth Day. So the Mentimeter is a tool that we will be using to gather your thoughts and opinions throughout the event. So we would like to invite you all to share your thoughts using the Mentimeter. Your inputs will contribute to the fact sheet, which will be published on climate resilient agriculture. So we'll be collecting all questions asked in the Q&A boxes at the bottom of the screen. So please feel free to ask any questions throughout the forum in this function. So please go to Mentimeter, menti.com, and enter the code on the screen, 64632707. Then you can find the link and the number in the chat. So first question is, what poses the biggest challenge to youth engagement in climate resilient agriculture? I will ask again. What poses the biggest challenge to youth engagement in climate resilient agriculture? I'll now yield my time back to Lauren. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ivy. And I will ask the question to you first, Ivy. What do you think poses the biggest challenge to youth engagement in climate resilient agriculture?
Thank you so much, Lauren. So for me, I believe that young people are really suffering the most. And most of the times it's youth are interested in climate resilient agriculture, often struggle with limited resources, inefficient education, climate smart practices, and a lack of mentorship opportunities. So overcoming these challenges through a tailored training program and financial support can be one of the initiatives or one of the ways we can be able to empower the young people towards a sustainable agricultural initiative despite the climate change pressures. Thank you, Lauren. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Ivy. And Ahmed, I'll ask you the same question. What do you believe to be the biggest challenge to youth engagement in climate resilient agriculture?
I think, thank you first for your question, and thanks for Ivy for her response. I see as a climate activist, the biggest challenge for youth is to reaching the opportunity. There is a lot of opportunity. There is a lot of people sharing the experience, but how we can reach to this opportunity, how we can be involved in that. This is from my understand as a youth for that. And when I take it to about my country like Egypt, I will say about the water security. I think sea levels rise and the extreme weather, what happened around us. I call you now, and it is the temperature now is 37 degree outside, and tomorrow is 41. So the people which are working for farmers, it is very high temperature, and there is a challenge. That's why we are here as a global center of adaptation to see how we can support the youth all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Ahmed. Over to you, Ivy.
Thank you so much, Lauren. So now I'm going to share with some of the participants and the responses from the participants. Thank you so much. Continue sharing with us. Continue posting on the Mentimeter, and we'll be very grateful. So one of the participants is saying that one of the challenges is policy and institutional challenges. Another one is also saying access to capital and education. Others are saying it's the limited resources and various amounts of research supports students conduct with researchers. And lastly, they're saying there needs to be more open forums for youth in national and local level to collaborate on agricultural matters. Thank you, and I yield my time back to Lauren.
Thank you so much, Ivy, and thank you so much, Ahmed, and to everyone who has shared your answers in the Mentimeter. These are very important, and as we said, we'll be using these in the fact sheet at the end of the session as well. So now I would like to invite our expert, Oluyede Ajayi, who is the Global Program Lead for Food Security and Rural Wellbeing at the Global Center on Adaptation. Oluyede, thank you so much for joining us today. Please could you tell us, what challenges does climate change create for our agriculture?
Thank you very much, and happy Earth Day to everyone. Yeah. The challenges of that climate change poses to agriculture actually varies depending on the context of the countries or the continent. I give an example. In African region, just like you have from our CEO, that less than 2/3 of the cultivated area is irrigated. So what that means is that agricultural production depends on natural rainfall, it's rain-fed. And what that means is that the agricultural season faces a kind of a boom and bust depending upon the rainfall pattern, which is now becoming inconsistent and uncertain based on climate change. So, for example, in Africa, we have the changes to the starting and the ending days of the growing season. You have an increasing frequency of dry spells and heavy rainfall events. Food security, for example, increases between 5 to 20% with each flood or drought, and we have about 1.4% reduction in food calories per capita per year from food crops. Now, in Asia region, there's higher level of irrigation, but then climate extremes cause monsoon rainfalls to increase by about 6.4%. That's quite a lot. Drought is forecasted to lengthen and occur between 5 and 10 times more than it used to be. And the cost of extreme weather in Philippines recently it was estimated to be $1.4 billion US dollar lost to typhoon. Well, you might say for in developed countries like say Europe or America, well, they have less more irrigation, but then there are restrictions in water use when there's drought, and there's extremes in terms of the drought and river beds which occurs, and of course the cost of agricultural insurance increases. So these are quite a lot of different issues that happens and which is affecting agriculture due to climate change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oluyede. It was such an honor to actually find out that Asia and the climate extremes have actually gone to 6.4%. My question to you, Mr. Oluyede, is now, what is the climate resilient agriculture and how does it affect against food scarcity? Let me repeat again. What is climate resilient agriculture and how does it fight against food scarcity? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ivy. Yes, climate resilient agriculture is simply, in a simple word, is actually any transformational development that improves the ability of an agricultural system to anticipate and prepare for, as well as adapt to and to absorb and recover from the risk posed by climate change. Well, maybe in a nutshell, it simply means any approaches and systems to climate-proof agriculture. That's simply what it means. How it fights against food security, it ensures that agri-system is robust and can cope with the changing weather, changing climate, and by doing that, ensures steady food production despite the uncertainties imposed by the changing climate condition. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Oluyede. And as you have mentioned in your presentation, is 1.4 billion is lost every year because of the climate change. My question for you is, could you please speak about the agriculture adaptation solution, which is the Global Center of Adaptation is supporting, because most of these countries need a solution. The floor is yours.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. Just like my CEO, Professor Patrick Verquain said just a couple of minutes ago, he mentioned that we're not just sitting back, we're not just complaining, we're saying, what do we do? And in GCA, we're looking at different areas of promoting adaptation. He cited 3 things: affordability, going to scale, and also something that is kind of that is resilient, that can be followed. So we are focusing currently, let me mention 2 of them. The first one, adaptation solution we are promoting in GCA is digital climate information and advisory services, or in short, we call it DCAS. We look at the fact that, yes, in most countries, the public extension system has broken down, but we're saying we're not just putting our hands in the air and say, also cool. But we're simply saying, how do we harness the powers of digital solutions to provide information on weather to farmers so that farmers can make informed decisions on farm operations? It provides prior information to farmers, a kind of forecast to farmers. For example, telling the farmers, in your region, in your village, it's going to rain in the next 1 week so that farmers can know, what do I do? That means, for example, don't apply so much fertilizer, because if you do that, the rain will come and wash them off. Or it tells you it's going to rain after 2 weeks from now. That means farmers can make the decision to go to the field and to ensure that they harvest their crop before the rains comes and disturb them. So farmers can stay in their village and they get this information and alert and give them information. And so farmers can say, know what is happening or what's likely to happen and what they are supposed to do so that they can adapt to the changing scenario. The second one I want to mention, again, my CEO have mentioned it, is actually how to promote drought, or call it climate tolerant seeds. It can mean tolerant to drought, also tolerant to flood. Some breeders and people who work in techs have actually developed some seed varieties and germplasms that are bred that can be much more tolerant to heat, to flood, or to drought. So those ones are available, but they are not going to scale. So we are using various mechanisms to ensure that we work with the international financing institutions to ensure a massive scaling out of these climate stress tolerant seeds. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Oluyede, for your valuable contribution and for also sharing how the Global Center on Adaptation is harnessing the power of these digital solutions as well as climate tolerant seeds. It was very interesting to hear. Now I'll turn to Jean-Claude. So Jean-Claude is the co-founder of Agirite and a young person from Rwanda. So Jean-Claude, welcome to the forum, and please tell us more about yourself and about the impacts of climate change on agriculture in Rwanda.
Yeah, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, my name is Jean-Claude Nyongabo from Rwanda. I'm the founder and the CEO of Agirite. It's a youth-led social enterprise that leverages the power of digital technology to help people such as youth and women to venture into climate-smart agriculture. It's my pleasure to be here. And when you look at the effect of climate change in Rwanda, you can see that there is a lot, because we have been experiencing a rise in both floods and drought over the past few decades.
I think that we have lost Jean-Claude. So I think that what we'll do is we'll move on to our panel discussion. And once we reconnect with Jean-Claude, we'll invite him back to finalize answering the question. Okay, so now we would like to welcome our panel. So from them, we're going to hear their experiences, the challenges they faced, and the lessons that they learned while creating and implementing projects on climate adaptation. So these are young people from across the world who have been working on agricultural adaptation solutions. So first, we'll start with Govia from Indonesia. Govia, welcome to the forum, and please share with us what is happening in your country, what problems you faced, and what initiative did you establish? What was the impact of the initiative, and what recommendations do you have for young people based on your experience? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Gofiari Zarifda from Green Harmony Team Indonesia, specifically from Malang. Together with my team, we have developed an initiative integrating sustainable agriculture in response to the challenges of global climate change with Azola that was viewed as a pesky aquatic plant. Please move to the next slide, please. Okay, thank you. Like other countries, Indonesia is also affected by global climate change. The temperature in Indonesia has increased extremely. Also, the rain intensity in Indonesia became inconsistent. As a result, our water quality in Indonesia has deteriorated. This is due to the increase in water temperature, which can affect the balance of aquatic ecosystem, including increasing the growth of toxic algae and reducing the dissolved oxygen levels in the water. Also, irregular rainfall patterns can lead to floods and soil erosion. Moreover, it carries waste and pollutant from the surface into water sources, resulting in increased water pollution. So, please next to the next slide. Okay, what are we doing about it as the young generations? We have developed an initiative that combines sustainable agriculture practices with Azolla of versatile solutions. Initially considered a pest due to its rapid growth, but we have transformed Azolla into valuable resources. With its high protein content and nitrogen, Azolla serves as a key component in various applications, offering a sustainable alternative for various agricultural needs, including fish feed and liquid organic fertilizer, or LOF for citrus crops. Its ability to utilize organic waste reduces pollutant in aquaculture wastewater, contributing to water filtrations. Azolla is resilient towards climate change, where it can live everywhere and will help to reduce the climate change effect. Also, Azolla can even be processed into edible cookies, so showcasing its potential for sustainable food productions. Now let's move to the impacts of our project. Next slide, please. Okay, our Azolla-based integrated farming system directly addresses local climate challenges by reducing water pollution in catfish pond and combating global climate change through decreased chemical fertilizer use. On a social level, it enhances agricultural productivity, raises farmer incomes, introduces new food sources for rural community, and also reduces farming costs. However, we also face several challenges in implementing this project. Increasing public awareness of sustainable farming practices is essential. Sustainable and participatory approaches are key for addressing climate change effectively. As a younger generation, we have to be more involved in environmental initiatives like this and taking concrete steps to preserve our world for future generations. That's all I have to share. Hopefully, it can inspire all of us and help improve the condition of our world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Govia. It was such an interesting. I'm actually very impressed by your work. But now we're going to go back to Jean-Claude. If you're with us, kindly, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I think that I had the problem of internet connection, but now, yeah, I can try to proceed. Yeah, my name is Jean-Claude Nyongabo, and I'm based in Rwanda. I'm the founder and the CEO of EduRight, a social enterprise that leverages the power of digital technology to connect young farmers and the women to agriculture, especially in climate smart agriculture. And I was talking about the effect of climate change in Rwanda. The first one is about increasing frequency and intensity of extreme weather. Where in Uganda, we have seen a rise in both floods and drought over the past few decades, especially last year, where the heavy rain, especially in the north and the west, triggered landslide and floods, damaging crops, homes, and infrastructure. And when you see the part of eastern region, we experience more frequent drought compared to the historical pattern, which is one of the effects of climate change. The second is about infrastructure damage, where extreme weather like floods and landslides have been destroying roads, bridge, and building. And you know, when you build those infrastructure, you require more resource, which can be used in the other project. And the last one is about changing temperature and weather pattern, which were able to alter the distribution of diseases carrying insects like mosquito, which have been led to the outbreak of malaria and other vector-borne diseases in northern and western part of Rwanda. Those are the effects of climate change to Rwanda, yeah, by nowadays. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jean-Claude. It's really an honor to actually learn what what Rwanda is doing. Now, sorry. Now I'd like to call upon Efoluo from Nigeria, who is one of our ADAPT winners. And I would like to ask you, please share with us what is happening in your country and what problems you faced and initiative that you established the impact and recommendations for young people based in your experience. Thank you, Madam Opelua. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ivy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be here, and thank you very much, GCA, for this opportunity. My name is Ifeoluwa Olatayo, the founder of Super Farm and Market Limited, Nigeria. And I'm from Nigeria. Please, to the next slide. I'm from Nigeria, and Nigeria is a country with over 200 million citizens. Majorly, 24% of our GDP contributions comes from agriculture. Right now, when it comes to climate change, it's beginning to affect the agricultural sector of the country due to extreme weather events. Two things that are very prominent are the rising temperature and the excessive rainfall. So rising temperature generally leads to heat waves that could cause a reduction in human productivity. But when it comes to agriculture, it causes a lot of drought that can lead to a loss of whole farmland or leads to extremely low yield. In some excess, when there's excess rainfall, it also leads to flooding that could pose danger to human lives, human properties in the urban region, and also in the rural region. It could cause a huge loss of crop and farmland to smallholder farmers. Now, to the next slide, we are solving this problem by simply using hydroponics technology. We believe that hydroponics technology or a climate-controlled environment agriculture can help reduce the impacts that climate change would have and create resilience when it comes to food production. So when we use, for example, a greenhouse net or a greenhouse setup, it allows us the exact amount of rainfall and the exact amount of sunlight that is needed for the production goes into the production area. So that way we do not have issues of flooding because it's controlled, and we do not have issues of drought because the sunlight that gets into the production room is controlled. Also, when it comes to the use of soil, because hydroponics is soilless farming. Next slide, please. Because hydroponics is soilless farming, it also helps the quantity of the nutrient that is needed by the plant is given to the plant. And that way there's a proper management of resources. Agriculture allows us to use 99% less water because we're able to concentrate the amount of water that is needed per crop into the crop. And it also helps us with the recycle procedure that essentially reduces every amount of resources that would need to make use of as compared to open field production. Next slide, please. So majorly, we at Farm and Market, we use hydroponics to plant leafy vegetables such as kale, arugula, lettuces, and the likes of that. We also get some vegetables like tomatoes, sweet pepper, etc. Now, because we got into agriculture majorly from my experience of losing my dad, I started hydroponics because I lost my dad to type 2 diabetes, which is a food-related illness. I wanted to change my local food system because I was living in a place called a food desert, typically as in certain suburban region of Nigeria. So I wanted to create a system that allows for affordable, accessible, nutritious food that can reach even the bottom of the pyramid. Then I came across hydroponics, and from there I realized that how food production that could bring nutrition to consumers can also reduce the impact of climate change, and in some most cases create resilience against the impact that it has on food production in Nigeria. So we collect this produce from our farms and we make them into nutritious smoothies, juices that is affordable and accessible to our customers. In some cases, we also sell this very freshly harvested produce. We sell it directly to our customers because we are operating from an urban area. Because we know that hydroponics cannot be used for all our production. There are perennial crops such as maize, soybeans, and the likes that cannot be grown hydroponically. So we work with smallholder farmers as well. We support them by giving them solar-powered irrigation system, giving them improved seeds, and agronomic supports that could help them to also combat the impact of climate change in urban food production. Next slide, please. The challenges that we faced when starting, I came across hydroponics when I saw the rooftop farm at the Hague. It piqued my curiosity, and I felt, oh, well, I'm looking for something that a system that would help us to plant extremely clean food and make it accessible to people with reduced food miles. So it's a brilliant idea to have food produced in urban area on the roof with almost zero farmland. And it also helps you to maximize our resources. However, coming across this was just like an exposure, but I needed the knowledge for me to be able to set up this hydroponics farm. At that time, when I came across this idea through the rooftop farm, it was in 2018. So there was nothing like that in Nigeria at that time. I had to start looking for on YouTube, trying to reach out to mentors internationally, had to work with IIT, that International Institute for Tropical Agriculture, on what it takes to set up hydroponics, what kind of systems are there in hydroponics. There's NFT, there's other soilless farm methods that I had to dig deep for me to be able to start up very fledglingly, just something little at the backyard before it becomes a full-fledged company. Also because there was a capital issue, hydroponics is quite capital intensive. It gives better yield. However, it takes a lot to set it up. Aside from the yield, it then creates a lot of impact stories around whatever that enterprise is. But because there's a need for huge funding to bring it to life, there was a little challenge in setting it up. When we started from the rooftop of a building. And I just wanted to recreate what I saw. I wanted it to be, the food production to be as close to customers as possible. However, because there was so much load for the building that we were using, it gave a little bit of challenge, which means that there are some other technical and architectural engineering that comes into wanting to create an innovation that is useful for the people, but has a lot of its procedures to put in place. The next slide, please. Now to the lessons learned and recommendations. The lessons along the way is it's important that young people are prepared for weather changes. Climate change is very real. It affects all of us, and the effect is felt by majorly from certain industries such as agriculture. So whatever innovation young people are bringing into agriculture, it's important that you put in perspective in your business plan, in your business model and structure, how you're going to be able to solve the issue of climate change and adapting to it, of staying resilient against the impact. Another lesson learned is gradually innovate. You might not be able to get all the capital you need to start immediately, but you need to just innovate up. Do it gradually. Start small. Let people see that you have a brilliant innovation that's solving a real problem, and then you'll be surprised how much you would have a backing from different support organizations when you have something to show them. The last recommendation is conscious contribution. Agriculture is a huge contributor to climate change. Aside from transportation and energy, agriculture is the third world largest contributor to climate change. So we do not want to clamor for the impact of climate change when we keep creating its effects. So if there's excessive mechanized farming, it brings climate change. If there's excessive use of harmful fertilizer, it emits methane gases that are dangerous to the atmosphere. If we are using too much fossil fuel on our procedures, all these things are creating the effect. So as we are conscious of wanting to adapt, we should also be conscious of reducing what we are contributing into that sector of the economy. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Ifiru, for all of the contribution you are doing and for the brilliant work on the ground. Now I'd like to welcome Ghislaine. Ghislaine is from Cameroon, and she is a fellowship of Mandela Washington, and also she is a winner of the Youth Adaptation Program on climate adaptation. Ghislaine, please share with us what is happening in your country. As we know, Cameroon is one of the biggest and largest country in Africa and had a lot of issues for agriculture. What's happening in your country and what's the problem you faced? What initiative did you establish and the impact and the recommendation of young people based on your experience? We will be more than happy to listen to you. It's yours.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. It's always a pleasure to share my story with everybody. So I am from Cameroon, as you rightly said, and we are one of the blessed countries with 5 agroecological zones, ranging from the Noel Sahelian region to the tropical region with bimodal rainfall. But in recent years, we've experienced great changes in rainfall pattern. especially in this part of Cameroon. And because of that, we face the problems of, we don't know when the rains are starting, abortion in flowers, no pollination, no fruit, and consequently, reduction in the total food production. But Mumita Holdings is an agricultural company. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO, and we've developed some solutions around it. Now, like Uber, which is one of the greatest companies in transportation, we decided to bet on not only a product but a service, making everybody responsible for adaptation, giving the power in the hands of every youth to be able to build this climate resilient agriculture we want to build. Please slide. Okay, so Cameroon, as I said, is in Central Africa, and we are blessed with 5 agroecological zones. And how do we, our biggest bet is building the capacity of smallholder farmers and investing in low-cost greenhouses to increase productivity. We are a company which does in food processing, but if there is no production, we can't process. So we decided to build the capacity of youths and farmers in order to feed the community and to feed our plants. Please, the next slide. So what are our good practices and how do we go about it? We work with youths in these communities. We teach them how to build these greenhouses. We don't only build it for them. We work with women. We teach them how to do it, because when we are not there, they need to do it. We cannot be everywhere at the same time. And if we want climate adaptation to work, then we need to give power in the hands of those who contribute the major population, which are women and youth. In this case, we had a training session with the university students where we teach them how to do it. We brought in irrigation systems and we built low-cost greenhouses to increase productivity of the African indigenous vegetable, which we transform at the end. This reduces post-harvest losses because the farmers know exactly what to do, how to do, since we cannot be everywhere at the same time. Next slide, please. So what are our major successes? Up to the day of today, we've been able to build the capacity of farmers. We ensure they produce, and at the end of every production cycle is commercialization. We've been able to commercialize these products from farmers in local and international markets under the Mumita food brand. These foods can be consumed internationally and nationally, and it transmits our culture. It does not only protect the environment, it does not only provide livelihood to farmers, but equally exports our culture. Stop seeing themselves as victims of climate change, but they feel they are 4 actors in the climate change battle. They feel they have a responsibility. What are our major challenges? In the rainy seasons, we have a very big problem of road. Rural farms to market are really not accessible. And due to the high perishability of what we work with, we have a lot of food loss. And that is why we decided to build the capacity of every farmer so that at their local level, they processing, or the first level of processing, or what we call locally first aid in agriculture. They can process it before we get to it. What are our opportunities? Cameroon is blessed with 5 agroecological zones, and we have a very big surface area where we can produce year in, year out, or season in, season out. But due to rainfall challenges, which we are constantly remedying to, because with the help of greenhouses, we are able to increase our production. And we have a great youth force who are ready to engage in agriculture. But because of the risk involved in climate change and agriculture, many youth shy away from agriculture. So we decide to bring in youth through mentorship so that they can increase their productivity, so that we are sure that at the end of the day, everyone is included in the climate change battle. So thank you very much for that. And I believe that the best way to bring in youth into agriculture, first of all, let's help to de-risk agriculture, because when we de-risk agriculture, we encourage more youth, we make it more attractive to youth for them to come in. When youth are part of the policy making in agriculture, they feel they are part of it, they feel it's their responsibility. They feel, or we feel, that that's what we have to do in order to ascertain food security, and it encourages you to be part of it, of the climate change battle. And lastly, the financial aspect of it. It's not always easy to set up a business in agriculture, as is the case for me. But with subventions and with accompaniments from mentors and the government and international organizations, more and more youths are getting into agriculture. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ghislaine, and thank you so much for sharing your really inspiring story. And I think the idea of making everyone responsible for adaptation and putting it in the hands of young people is something that's very impressive and very inspiring. So thank you for sharing that with us. Now, finally, I would like to welcome Primrose. Primrose is from Zimbabwe. So Primrose, please share with us what is happening in your country, in Zimbabwe, and what problems you have faced, and then what initiative you established and the impact and recommendations that you have for young people based on your experiences. Over to you, Primrose.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm Primrose from Zimbabwe. I'm happy to see you all. Can you move to the next slide? Okay, I'm under FAO Green Jobs, and we are doing agroforestry and beekeeping in Chimanimani, Zimbabwe. As you all know that in Chimanimani, which is in the eastern part of Zimbabwe, and the whole country experienced Cyclone Idai in 2019 March. So we have got issues to do with, we lost some animals and plants, and we also have an increase in pest infestations. And the biggest challenge now is most of the lands have become degraded. And recently, the Zimbabwean president declared state of disaster due to drought because of climate change. So as youths under the Green Jobs for Rural Youth Employment, we are doing a mentorship program, and we are doing this agroforest system. Next slide. Okay, under agroforest system, we are doing eucalyptus, and we are starting from the nursery establishment. Doing the clearance part, we are sowing the seedlings, and we are doing all the necessary management practices. And after that, we are actually transplanting those seedlings to other plantation sites and some of the degraded land so that we can reclaim them. And in this project, we have got 11 youth, and 7 females are involved, and also 4 females. And FAO gave us an opportunity for training under sustainable timber harvesting, because the eastern part, we do timber production. So as we harvest the timber is one way that leads to land degradation. So there are other ways that we were taught, especially on the felling part, so that we reduce land degradation due to the soil erosion, which will be accelerated by the felling of trees. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, we are also conserving our biodiversity through beekeeping, and we are using the Kenyan toba hives to produce our honey as well to support pollination. And we do beehive inspection twice a month, and we have 47 hives, and out of these 47 hives, we have got 14 hives which are already colonized, and currently we have managed to harvest 2 hives, which gave us 10 kgs of raw honey, and we're expecting to harvest 5 hives this month. And we were given an opportunity on beekeeping. We were given an opportunity for training before we engaged into this project. And some refresher courses on beekeeping are being done as we move on with the project. May you go to the next slide? We have successfully planted 15,000 eucalyptus trees so that we combat the issue to do with land degradation. But now the challenge is when we want to transport our seedlings from the nursery site, most of the land has been degraded. So our tractors are unable to reach the plantation site. So we are using manual to carry the seedlings to the plantation site. What we learned is planting of eucalyptus trees will help us reclaim our lands, and we observed less land degradation eucalyptus trees were previously planted. That's why we chose that species, so that we reclaim our land. As a recommendation to the youth, I encourage youth to plant trees to prevent land degradation, protect species, and support some complementary initiatives like beekeeping. I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much to all of our panel members. It was very interesting to hear about all of your experience within your countries. It is a very, very lovely stories we have listened and success story. It has given us a lot of encouragement to continue. And now we invite all participation to share your views again. And mentor meters, please go to the menti.com, and enter the code 64632707. If you look at the screen, you will see it. We want to hear from you. What young people do to engage with agriculture adaptation solutions? I'd like to turn to our panel. Please respond to the question.
Sylvia, we can start with you. Please, can you share briefly your thoughts on what young people can do to engage with agriculture adaptation solutions?
Okay, thank you, Lauren. Young people can engage with agriculture adaptation solution by educating themselves about climate resilient farming techniques, supporting local farmers in implementing sustainable practices, advocating for agricultural policies that prioritize climate adaptation, and actively participating in community-based initiatives focused on building resilience in agriculture. Through education, innovation, and collaborations, young people can drive positive change in agriculture towards a more resilient and sustainable future. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Guvia. And Ifeoluwa, please could you share your thoughts on what young people can do?
Yes, young people can engage with themselves with agricultural adaptation solutions by opening up to learning. Education is very critical when it comes to learning the effect of climate change and what are the solutions that are adoptable, that are replicable, that can be used in their local communities to combat that effect.
Thank you very much. And Ghislaine, please could you share with us what your thoughts are?
Oh, thank you. So for me, young people, what they can do to get more into agricultural adaptation is they can do adaptation in little scales or in small scales. And if they can't do it in big scale, they can go ahead in communities, build the capacity or train their peers, their fellow peers on sustainable agricultural methods, especially those who have learned it in school. That is the best way to sensitize the entire community and do collectively, because when one person does it, you cannot really feel the impact of it. But bringing together many people, teaching your peers on how to do it, what to do and how to do it, it actually brings a bigger effect on adaptation and we can feel it better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Primrose, very briefly, what do you think that young people can do to engage with agriculture adaptation solutions?
Okay, I think young people can join some youth networks and organizations which focus on sustainable agriculture and climate change. This will help them share ideas and collaborate on projects related to agriculture adaptation. And they can also conduct some researches and innovation in order to develop some new technologies, crop practices that are more resilient to climate change. And they can also collaborate maybe with some universities and some agriculture institutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Jean-Claude, based on your experience, what do you believe that young people can do?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that young people can be involved in the climate adaptation by trying to be involved in the new innovation and new creativity when it comes to climate smart agriculture, how the young people can maybe venture into using irrigation systems, as well as trying to use climate resilient seeds. The second is about offering the training to other farmers, because when you see the farmers, most of them didn't have those knowledge and skills for the climate resilient agriculture. So young people are needed to make sure that those farmers can implement climate resilient agriculture. The first one is about research. Since young people are more when it comes to doing research, they can try to join the universities as well as research institute to make sure that they can do a research and implement those research for the small scale farmers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jean-Claude. And I want to thank everyone for their input, especially those people online who have shared their input on the Mentimeter. And again, thank you so much to our expert, Oluyede Ajayi, and to Jean-Claude, who, despite connectivity issues, has still managed to share the impacts of climate change in Rwanda. And then finally, thank you so much to our panel. And I think that the one message that keeps coming back from the panel members is to start small. So I think that that is something really important that we can take away from this forum. And now I want to share with you some 3 key messages that we can take away as well. So up to 60% of the global population resides in rural areas. So rural youth are the pivotal force in driving climate resilient agriculture. And secondly, as some of the panel has suggested, that empowering young people in agriculture can increase farm productivity and reduce vulnerability of rural communities to climate change impacts. So we really need to empower our youth and ensure that young people are leading the way. And then finally, climate change and agriculture is a youth issue because, as we said, up to 60% of the global youth population are living in rural communities and are reliant on agriculture. And the young population accounts for a massive part of the total population, which depends on agriculture. So thank you so much for your active engagement throughout this forum. Thank you so much to my co-hosts, Ivy and Ahmed. And on the screen, you'll see the upcoming forums. So as you can see, the next forum is on the 8th of May, and this will be on nature-based solutions and climate-resilient infrastructure. The following one is on the 15th of July on youth entrepreneurship, and our final forum is on the 12th of August on locally led adaptation. So my colleague Nicola will now share more with how you can join the Youth Adaptation Network.
Hi, Lauren, and hi, everyone. Very pleased to be talking with you from the floating office here in Rotterdam, from the headquarters of the Global Center on Adaptation. My name is Nicola. I'm a Youth Leadership and Education Officer, and I'm very pleased today to invite you all to join the Youth Adaptation Network by clicking on the QR code that you are seeing right now on the screen. The Youth Adaptation Network is the largest network of young people involved in climate adaptation in the world, with more than 15,000 young people part of it. And you can become part of the network as well. By doing that, you will register to a newsletter through which you will receive some opportunities, resources, initiatives, both from the Global Center on Adaptation, our Youth Leadership and Education Program, and partners. So if you want to engage with the movement, please follow us, check out our website at gca.org, and follow us on social media, become part of the Youth Adaptation Network. We look forward to engaging with you and to receiving your ideas, your recommendations, and to work together to build the Youth Adaptation movement together. Thank you very much, and back to you, Lauren.
Thank you very much, Nicola. And thank you once again to all of our speakers and to everyone who participated online. It's been a really great and interesting forum, and I wish you all a happy Earth Day, and we look forward to seeing you at the next Youth Adaptation Forum. So thank you all very much.